Hello, my name is Cindy. Welcome to Snacks and Stacks. If you're new around here, I like to talk about books, TV, and movies. It has been a full month since the last video, which was not planned, but we had some stuff happening in June that really sucked. One of our dogs passed away, and even though she was 15, it just sucked. It sucked real bad. And so this video will be a June wrap-up / mid-year book tag, because I don't really remember too much of what I read or consumed in June. It was kind of just books were played to get the workday and the cleaning to be done, and then shows were watched to try to distract myself from just being really sad. So our family is doing much better now, and so I'm back. Let me try to see. I didn't really take much notes while I was reading, but I did try to take a look back at what I had read and try to at least figure out my thoughts about these things. In the month of June, I finished Spy Family Season 2. This is a anime and manga that is about a spy, an assassin, and a telepath, and how they ended up being a fake family together. And it's very much on the nose. It's very funny. It's a light and fun time. Right now, it almost feels a little bit like the plot is meandering, but as long as you enjoy the characters, I don't think you would mind as much about the slower pacing of things. A new stuff I watched was Bridgerton, Queen Charlotte, and Bridgerton Season 3. Season 3, I thought was alright. I thought there was just too many side stories, and the main couple just suffered because of that. I didn't really agree with how Penelope handled things, and I didn't agree with how Colin handled things. I understand we've seen them interact the past 2 seasons, and obviously we know that Penelope has a huge crush on Colin, but other than that, I don't know. I just didn't quite get what I normally get out of Bridgerton, out of like the main couple. Queen Charlotte, though, I absolutely adored. I actually was nervous about finishing it because I thought it would make me sad, and it did. But it's very bittersweet. I think that the love story makes me think a lot as a person who has watched and have family members who have dementia or has Alzheimer's and just like forget their partners or forget what's going on. And although King George doesn't quite have that, he just has symptoms of a lot of different things, and I can't even imagine or begin to imagine that type of love and longing for someone who may not always be like there, and just that type of loyalty and devotion to your partner is, I think, quite extraordinary. I also think that it's really sad that that much love for King George meant that Queen Charlotte seemed to have less love for her children, which I think they kind of talk about, but I would have loved, because they do like a timeline shift between current Bridgerton time and past. I would have loved for them to talk more about it, but I also think all of the actors were great. but the ones for young King George and Queen Charlotte were excellent. Absolutely excellent. So yeah, I highly recommend. I don't even think you really need to watch the main Bridgerton show to watch Queen Charlotte, because the current timeline is not focused on any of the, like, really the main characters. So I enjoyed it a lot. I also watched a new movie that's called Hitman. And this is a story, and that's apparently based on a true person, but not the whole movie. It's very loosely based on a true person. And it's about a teacher who also works undercover for the police as a hitman. And what he does is he helps the police trap people who want to hire hitmen to kill someone that they know. While he's doing this, he finds a woman that was going to hire him, and he decides to kind of help her in a situation so that she doesn't get in trouble. And then adventures ensue. So I thought this was really well done. I thought it was like a fun time. And I really liked the premise of it. I liked a lot of the videography and the way they chose to do some of the shots. And I also think that there was an article somewhere, and I would love to know more about it, but apparently they took from like inspiration from hitmen from different movies and stuff too, because he goes in as his disguises. And I don't know enough about hitman movies to know what they're parallel to, but I think that it's really interesting that that was like a choice. And that's something that I want to look more into as well. Okay, so books. I read 3 mangas. I read the latest Spy Family, Volume 11. I don't remember too much about it because I think I read it in the beginning of the month and I didn't take any notes. But I remember liking it. I tried this manga called Emma, and it's based on a maid and a merchant falling in love in Victorian England. Thought the art style was really pretty, but the story was just so slow paced and some of it was a little disjointed, so I decided to not continue that manga. And I also started Witch Hat Atelier, which was really fun. My library only has volume 1, and so right now I'm kind of up in my head about whether or not I should continue the series digitally or physically, because I'm kind of running out of bookshelf space. But I normally like to collect manga because I can then look at the pictures better. But also, it's an ongoing series. It's not finished, so I don't know how many books there will be, and on and on and on and on and on. So there's that. Witch Hat Atelier is about a young girl who's always wanted to be a witch, thinking that you had to basically be born a witch, and to find out that that's not the case. And so she starts attending, basically learning how to be a witch under this mentor. I feel like witches are not new, so it's not like a whole new type of magic, but I do really think the art style is beautiful, and so far there are some unique things to it that I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed the main character so far too. I listened to 4 books. One was A Study in Drowning. This is about a young girl named Effie. She is an architecture student, and she enters a contest to help redesign the estate of one of her favorite authors. She is actually wants to be a literature student, but there's no such thing as a woman literature student. So in this society, in this world, men are the only ones worthy enough to be writers and study literature. She wins the contest and is awarded a chance to go redesign the estate. And so she goes there and she meets a literature student named Preston, who is there on like his own little agenda. They kind of partner up to try to discover some things and uncover some secrets. This book was written very well, but there's something about the writing style that feels a little eerie, and it's a little bit repetitive. There's a lot about drowning, like the whole book. There's a lot of metaphors about drowning and water, and I think if I was physically reading it, I might have been a little bit annoyed, but since I was listening to it while I was working, it really didn't bother me too much. But I did find that the main character was a tad bit annoying. And I feel bad saying that because she obviously had gone through some trauma, and she's obviously gone through some stuff, and she's young, and she doesn't understand that she was made to feel a certain way and that wasn't allowed, right? Like, I shouldn't say that I was annoyed about the way she acted. I just felt for her, and I felt like she needed friends to just tell her that what happened to her was wrong, but it was not her fault at all. And I think when I read from that perspective of women or young girls that think that it's not annoying, it's just a lot for me, and it makes me angry. That's what it is. It makes me really angry. Makes me wish I could like go into the book and be like, it's not you. It's not you at all. It's these people. They're bad to you. And so that's like a frustrating thing for me to have to listen to in a book. It's nothing wrong with the book. It's just me and how I'm reacting to this character. The whole book runs a lot on the theme of like feminism and women reclaiming their stories, and women who go through trauma. So you definitely want to check out trigger warnings for this book, but I don't think it's so triggering, even though I was just like, man, so triggering that it's like super dark academia. This is, I think, a young adult, so it's like mid-level triggering. Another book that I really enjoyed was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I did not write any of the authors down. I'm sorry. I'll have the book covers up so that you know who the authors are as well. This is basically just a nice cozy read. It's about a young woman who's a witch, and in this world, witches are supposed to be secret, and you can only meet up with fellow witches every so often, or magic will kind of like get tricky. And somehow she gets found out and asked to come train 3 very young child witches. In this world also, all witches are orphans. And so these 3 are orphans, and she gets asked to help train them in their magic. The other adults there and chaperones there teach other subjects, but they don't know enough about magic to teach magic, but they do know magic exists. And so, yeah, this is a romantic, paranormal romance book. It's cozy, it's light, the romance is cute. It's kind of also like a big found family vibes, not kind of. And it has a little bit of like almost like a coming of age feel, for the main character, because she is constantly on the move because she is a witch and she is by herself, and this is kind of like a very big new step for her. So yeah, I thought it was very, very cute. The next two books I read or listened to are sequels. One is Beneath the Sugar Sky. This is a Wayward Children's novella. This is book number 3. It's probably my least favorite so far, which it's not too much. I still think it's like a 3.5, I think, rating. So I still really enjoyed it. I just thought that some of the messages was like extremely on the nose. Like, for it to be an adult book with adult scenarios and like things like that, it is so much on the nose about the lessons that you may or may not take from these books. Like, I don't know. I thought that was yeah. Anyways, and the other sequel I listened to is called Murder at the Dinner Party. This is part of the Cleopatra Fox mystery series. This is another one of the Victorian era. It might not be Victorian era, but it's old English time, cozy mysteries. And I don't know if I'm going to continue after this one. I just find the main character, the slow romance is way too slow in this. It's just very like, I can't. And then this time around, this mystery, I don't know if she's always been like this, because it's been a while since I listened to the last one, but I felt like she just kept accusing people without any evidence. Like, she was just like, I think this is what happened. And then she would just tell them. And it was weird. I didn't like it as much as the previous ones. I also finished Two Twisted Crowns with my family book club. I thought this was much better than the first book. I do think that some of this book is a little silly, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it a lot. I do like the magic system in this book. I liked Nightmare's, like Taxus's, my Nightmare, whatever his name is, his extra special magic. That's awesome. Some of the stuff that happened in the book was just like a little extra convenient. But yeah, I thought it was done well enough. I don't know if it's worth all the hype, but I think books like these usually get hyped up because they are easy to read and you can just keep going. And it feels like it could be epic fantasy because there's this big magic system in there, but it's also not extra detailed or extra prosy, so it feels a certain way, but I didn't quite get everything I wanted from it. And that's pretty much it. I also finished All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I've been slowly reading through that book with my husband because he falls asleep every time I start reading. So, yeah, that happened. It's a reread for me. It's very good. I hope that you'll look into it and read it. It's a novella. It took us like 2 months to read this novella, but it's a novella. It's about a sentient, he's not a robot because he also has human parts. So he's kind of cyborgy. And he is sassy and he loves watching and binging shows, and he basically hacks something called a governor's module so that he can do what he wants, but instead of like being free and doing whatever he wants, he just goes back to work, but does just sufficiently enough and watches movies and TV shows and, you know, just chills. Like, and because that's his personality, he joins a team that ends up in a little bit of trouble. And so now he has to like do his actual job of security. And things ensue. Things ensue. So yeah, that's Murderbot. Alright, I just realized that I did all my answers for the mid-year tag in a notebook. So I need to go get that notebook, and then I'll be right back.